Hi, everybody. It's Chris, and I just wanted to make sure we are actually streaming this thing here. I'm still new with the whole video streaming thing, so I'm kind of doing this as a test. Even if no one comes on, that's really not important. I'm kind of testing out this whole little live uh, streaming system I got going here. So anyway, obviously, I want to talk about something today that is a matter of dreams I've had for the last many years. And some of you know that there's a whole new energy technology invention series coming up, and now you can see the slide, the cover slide here, what I'm talking about. Um, there's a whole series of dreams I've had since 2014. I've documented it quite extensively on my website. You can see at the bottom, chrismichaels.com, and a little bit on another one that I'll tell you about later. And one of the offshoots of this technology is actually flying cars. And I'm not talking about the kind that you see like with those with it looks like a drone. We're not talking about that stuff. We're not talking about the kind that has wings and all this. No, we're talking about an actual car that flies, kind of like Doc Brown's DeLorean. And I mentioned this several times before. Um, that's what I saw in dreams. And I don't think we're going to get there immediately, like as soon as the new energy tech invention that I will tell a little bit about. I've been talking about myself for a long time. I don't think it's going to just be instant. I think I know where this is going and how it's going to happen ultimately. And that's what I want to talk about today, just to give you a little intro about that. And by the way, this slide cover here is my own digital art. I have a whole digital art download website on Gumroad that I'm going to give you the link to the end. And you can get these images here. Um, you can actually get them in my store page. It's a low price. It's not really expensive. I have a ton of digital art that I do, and that's just one of them. Okay, so I want to talk about this flying car thing. Um, be, I've also, by the way, I've also had at least, I think, about six dreams of working with Elon Musk, and he's going to be the first guy I work with once this invention gets set up, and once it gets up and running. I will tell a little bit more about it. I have a slide here that will deal with that a little bit. Um, but it basically, the short version is right now that it is a new form of energy that has nothing like anything we have right now. It's completely different source. Uses a completely different type of science. In fact, the science we learn in school is wrong. A lot of it, especially cosmology, about how the universe works, is completely wrong. God showed me in a series of dreams about 3 years ago that the people you need to follow are the electric universe scientists. That stuff is right. Everything else is wrong. Forget that stuff that we learn in school. Throw it out. You have to do what I did a long time ago. Zero out everything you thought you knew and start over. I've had to do this myself with my faith and beliefs, and with science. God has shown me things progressively that I've had to go through the process of starting over. And so, anyway, um, let's see. So, Electric Universe and specifically on YouTube, Thunderbolts Project. Look up the Thunderbolts Project. I don't have a little nice image here that shows their cover screen or anything, but look up Thunderbolts Project and follow them, especially, well, I won't say which playlist. I've said it in the past. You can find it on my blogs at chrismichaels.com. Um, but just know that that's the people you need to be following, and what they say is correct. And God showed me that in dreams. So, by the way, I got to put this in here for those who don't know anything about me or all that. You see my little image here that I put on my slide on the left side, Dreams and Marvels. That's the name of my site, but the URL, the website address is chrismichaels.com. On the bottom, you see that. And so that's where I talk about all the dreams I've had about the inventions, but other things too, just general Bible-based dream interpreting. I do that. I've been doing it for uh, like almost over a decade now, about 12, 13 years since I started learning, and I've been interpreting dreams through my website for 8.5 years as of today, May 2024. So anyway, I want to get back to what we're talking about here, and I think the next image, we're going to go into this, but I have what I call, because I know I'm going to be working with Elon Musk, and he's really the most forward-thinking guy out there. And there's all these arguments about electric cars and this and that. And what I found out is, finally, it took a long time to follow this. And I started to realize that people are fighting on the wrong side of that. Those that are fighting, they're all completely on the wrong side. Batteries are not the solution. It never will be ultimately. And you're not going to get a flying car with batteries. That's completely ridiculous. Because the type of propulsion system that's coming is uh, totally different. It's completely different. And it's not going to use combustible fuel. So once you eliminate combustible fuel and you say, well, what else is there? Well, there are some other things. There's a couple different options, and some of what God's showing me in the dreams. He shows me what the technology is going to produce, but there's a stage where he doesn't always show me how it's going to happen. He just shows me that it's going to happen, and it's got to do with the invention he's given me, the details of the design. And how he did that is a whole other story. We're going to get to that another time. That's going to be on phase 2 of my Marvel Revelations project that I'm working on. I have most of what I've written. A lot of what I've got about this already is in an ebook I wrote called Marvel Dream Revelations. If you haven't seen the little trailer promo for all my ebooks, the 4 of them, I call the Supernatural Dream series. Go on my YouTube channel and you'll see. It's very short, like 3.5 minutes, and and so you can see all the ebooks. And the Marvel Dream Revelations ebook is the one where I detail a lot of the dreams, not all of them, but most of the top dreams I've had about this invention. And and so and so um, anyway, I'm in a place where there's distractions, and it's a really bad environment to be straightforward with you. So I have to. It's really hard to get these done. I have to fight really hard to get these videos done. There's a lot of atmospherics here that are extremely bad sometimes. So anyway, you might see interruptions every now and then, but try to keep that to a minimum. Anyway, let's get back on track here. Like I say, because I know I'm working with Elon, and because it's a whole different propulsion system that works on science that we do not are not taught in school, God showed me what's right and what's not right. That's how I know. Even though He hasn't always shown me the exact details of how a thing is going to happen, I have the invention design, and when we get the money, finally, I've been waiting for a long time to get it, at least a year and a half, actually more than that, but we'll just leave it at that for now. When we can build this thing, which takes millions of dollars to construct the thing, then once the world sees what this is and the fact that what I've said about science is actually real, um, then it's going to be a shock to everyone. But let me just keep moving on here. I think I just had a little thing pop up that, well, I got to fix that later. Anyway, let me just transition here. Okay, so I'm talking about Elon. I'm saying he's the guy we're going to work with initially. I've had dreams about that. And so I just decided if we're going to start talking about flying cars, then we're just going to use Tesla as the starting point, because I don't think any other car manufacturer out there is going to work. I really don't think it's going to work at all. They're too slow. They're too far in the past. They're stuck in the past. And none of them, I mean, they're just making incremental changes, but there's nothing new coming out. The only guy who's doing anything new is Elon Musk. And so that's why God showed me I'm going to be working with him. Um, so I'm just showing you on the slide here. I call it the Tesla Aero car concept. Now that's just my own. I took this off. It's my digital art. I took an actual photo of a Tesla car and I modified slightly. When I do show you the zoom in here, um, you're going to see. I guess you know what I have to. Let me see. There we go. I have to. There's a zoom in on the screen. I call it a flight display, because what you have to do is you got to figure out when you're doing flying cars, you have to merge both the land navigation and the air navigation, and um, it's going to look like a flight display, at least for now. That's what I imagine. And I don't know who else. I really don't know who's working on what they have in the works right now. But for me right now, I know, being a pilot myself, I've used displays that look like the little image on the top left corner, which, by the way, again, you can download this from my Gumroad store site. I'll give you the address at the end here. But you can download everything, the image I just put before and this one here, you can download that. And so you have to combine land navigation maps and that kind of thing. And see on the bottom left, that's your land navigation. On the bottom right, it's like your media and your phone. how that hooks up to your car and all that kind of stuff. There's like a little streaming audio and a weather app in there and all kinds of things. You can swipe the screens left and right. It'll all be a touch screen. And by the way, this is a big Tesla screen. I'll explain that in a minute here when we get to it. But on the top right are the systems displays. You imagine, like I said, we're going to have advanced propulsion. It's going to be like Doc Brown's car. I'm not saying the wheels are going to turn down. I think that's kind of an excessive complication. It looks great for movies, but in real life, I don't think that's going to work that way. Um, but you got to have systems, just like you would in an aircraft. You got to combine ground and air together in a display. And so on the top right corner, you see a green, orange, red bar with a little meter on the top of it. Um, and that is kind of made similar to private aircraft like jets, specifically where you have engine instruments and that kind of thing. Except this, the big long bar is going to be something like a powered display, a power indicator. And by the way, like I say, this is a concept. It's a concept. I got to emphasize that word concept because it's not going to look exactly like this, but you got to start somewhere. When you're designing, you have to start somewhere. If you believe a thing is going to happen and God shows you something, you've got to take action and take steps to make the thing happen. So this is me just designing because I'm kind of a digital artist to some extent. Like I say, you can see on my Gumroad site, I have a ton of digital art. And I just decided, well, I'm going to start playing around with this because I know it's coming. I've seen it in dreams, so I got to take action on the dreams God's shown me. And so, anyway, you can see I just start putting things together. The top corner of that top right display is just simple stuff. Like I said, you got to combine air and land. So we have tire pressure indicator on the top, and you have the environmental controls on the bottom, your fan, your AC, heat, and all that kind of thing. On the left is a typical flight display you would see for something like Garmin or Honeywell. Um, And because it's been a while since I flew much, I have to get back into it. But when I was flying, there was the Garmin G1000 system was kind of new back then. And I was a flight instructor, actually, a CFI. So I was teaching my students how to use the Garmin G1000 system. And it doesn't look exactly like that, but this is kind of a combination of a lot of displays out there. The Honeywell, that say they use in Pilatus, or different systems like that. And so it's conceptual. It's not supposed to be totally accurate. You can see the bars for the airspeed and the altitude. I don't think that these are going to go very high because you can't interfere with air traffic. Um, and so if you're not going to interfere with air traffic, then you have to have altitude restrictions and there's so many things you got to do. You've got to have altitude restrictions, you got to have speed restrictions, you can't fly too low, you can't be buzzing buildings. It's just the same rules as with aircraft. You got to have that. You got to figure out how you're going to do that with cars, and that's a whole big system. That's what the FAA does, and they have FAA has regulations on drones now. We used to call them in the Air Force unmanned air vehicles, unmanned aircraft. Um, and so now I don't know where drones came from. That's a fake media term. We didn't call them that stuff. UAVs is what we call them. But anyway, just to say, I am Air Force Academy graduate. See, there you go. That's what the big letters are. Anyway, so there's all these systems that have to be put in place. You can't just have a flying car and not have a system to put it into a structure, a regulatory structure. So all this stuff has to happen. It's not just about the technology, it's about mass producing it. Like Elon talks about, mass producing is a whole different challenge. You can make a prototype, but to mass produce something is a big deal. So is this to get it into the structure where people can actually use it in the airspace system. And if you know anything about airspace, if you're a pilot, then there's all the class A through G. And like I say, I don't think there's going to go very high because then you interfere with air traffic. And besides, you're going to have people that are going to have to learn, they're going to have some form of a pilot's license to fly a flying car. If it's going to get even a few hundred feet off the ground, you got to have some training along with that. So there's a lot of things that have to happen. If you start thinking through all this, you can think through the logic of what it takes to make this kind of thing happen. So it can be very complicated, but with the people that are doing the things I think are silly now, the electric air taxi things that look like a drone with a spinning propellers, like I know that's not the future, but we got to start somewhere. And Elon started with the electric cars. I'm like, that's the starting point. And I know that what I'm getting is going to feed right into that, and it's going to eliminate a lot of what the power systems exist right now, it's going to change all that progressively, not overnight. There's going to be a progress, one thing after the next. It's going to lead to this kind of thing. So I just want to be clear about that. And that's just things that I've started to realize as I fight through this thing and do the design details and start thinking through how this is going to work. So anyway, let me get back to our next, actually, I'm, yeah, so there's a lot here. Let me just transition back to this one slide. Um, there's a lot of things you got to think through with this. And so anyway, so I wanted to start putting the display that combined air land and use a big Tesla car concept. So if I get back to the, let me just go back to the cover image here, and you can see how the pop-up flight display screen is right there. If you zoom in, and let me try that for a second here. Um, Let me just go back, and I got things. I'm trying to do this little thing. Okay, so now you can see the inside. If you zoomed in on that right there, which you can in the download product I have, you can see the flight display screen where the normal, that big, huge screen that Tesla uses. All you gotta do is just change the data on there, change what's displayed there, and like I say, you can put both of these. This is how it's going to look. Just a close up of that. So this is what we're working towards, and this is basically the future is just in concept form. Um, and so let me just flip this over just to show you there. The Gumroad site that I've been talking about, chrismichaels.com, or no, chrismichaels.gumroad.com. That's the site where I have all the digital art, including this one. And so, okay, let me get past this now because we need to deal with a little bit more about the invention. And I have another site there you see at the bottom, bluecuberacket.com. That's the business site. And I have this little promo, these images here where I talk about where it just gives a very vague, sort of a vague hint about what space energy is and the thing we're producing. There's a lot of hints in that little diagram on the right. There's a lot more hints in there than what you might realize. Um, Basically, everything you need to know is right there. If you read the words on the little triangular logo, all three sides, and you look at the image and everything about that, we're ready to build it right now. We just need the money. It costs a lot of money to do it. And so that's the thing itself. That's as much as I can tell publicly about it because you got intellectual property issues you got to deal with, and you can't say too much. It causes a lot of problems if you do. But on the left side is God still speaks in dreams, and He gives knowledge of inventions. That's what Proverbs 8:12 is, knowledge of witty inventions. And of course, you only find that particular wording in the King James version of Proverbs 8:12. But that's basically what's going on. Um, and you can see the two website links there. If you zoom in on that, you can see it. Just chrismichaels.com and bluecuberacket.com. That's where I have the whole story of this being documented publicly in varying stages. And so it is space energy. Space energy can only be properly defined by the electric universe scientists. That's like I've been saying. And Thunderbolts Project YouTube channel is the best place to start. And listen to what those guys have to say. And you're going to have to do a lot of transitioning from what you thought you knew to what is actually real out there. And I did that in the last several years. In fact, during the whole virus shutdown, when everything was closing down, um, God gave me the homework assignment. He showed me what to study, what to focus on. And so I already knew. I wasn't out there trying to do jobs, and that I knew we were supposed to be in a shut-in during that time. And most church people out there were totally lost in space. The only place you could find the correct teaching on that, and a lot, I hate to say it, but a lot of the prophetic ministries were completely wrong about what was going on, what was really going on. There was only one place you could find out what was really going on, is the parent ministry that I'm part of, with KOGGC, David E. Taylor. That is the only place I got the right teaching. And during that time, because I followed the instructions, God gave me a ton of homework assignments. He showed me what to do during that time. He showed me how to use my time, and he started showing me this. Just one of many things was the electric universe is correct. So I accomplished more in that first year when things were shut down. I accomplished more in that year than at any other time in my entire life, even when I was at the academy, to be honest, because I was finally learning science that's real, that's actually correct. So that's what I did. I followed the instructions and I got some amazing results, which I write about in my ebooks and blogs. Um, so let's just switch back here to this slide. Space energy is what is going to power all these invention designs. And I'm only talking about the flying cars today. And like I say, yes, they're real. Yes, they're coming. They're not here now, but they're on the way, and they're going to look just like you see in movies. That's why I say in my Blue Cube Rocket website, I have a quote. It's my own quote. And I said, "What is soon coming to Earth will change life as you know it and make science fiction movies become reality." That's literally going to happen. And this is just the starting point. I've seen more besides just flying cars. There's stuff I've seen goes way, way beyond that. I'll just give you a hint that light speed transportation is possible, and that's been shown in my dreams multiple times, by the way. And so, you want to figure out how you're going to get around the solar system. Well, go look at the little aircraft designs I've made, the space jets, I call them, on my Gumroad site. Um, on Gumroad is that's where let's just flip back here. That's I just start designing aircraft designs, space jets, because they're going to fly either in the atmosphere or outside of them, outside of the atmosphere, through the solar system. How are you going to get there? Well, you're going to have to fly a lot faster than what rockets can take you, and you're going to have anti-gravity, which is scientifically possible. And I even had a dream showing that gravity is an electric force at the atomic level. And I have to go back. I used to have a video up about the dream that showed me that. I planned to redo it. Like I said, I deleted everything off my website. I mean, off my YouTube channel, and I'm starting over. And I have to get back to do that dream also. I have all the slides ready. It's fairly lengthy and in detail. I walk through the entire dream and tell how I know that God showed me that gravity is an electric force. So we'll get to that hopefully soon, now that I brought it up here. But anyway, you can see the Space Jets designs on my Gumroad profile there. And I'm just saying, when you know something is coming, start designing. Even if it doesn't look like that in the end, even if it's different, you have to start somewhere. You got to start with a design. And so that's what I've been doing. So anyway, you have faith requires action. You can't just have a bunch of words and not do anything. Faith requires action. And so I do that to the best of my ability. So anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, by the way, let me just transition over here really quick. See the middle image there where it says God still speaks in dreams? If you were to zoom in on that little circular logo there, that is what I call the Dream Coin uh, logo. And I have that posted in different places. That is sort of it's not a combination of all my energy tech dreams, but it's a combination of a couple of the top ones, maybe a few of the top ones, and everything in there is symbolic. If you know the story that I told in my ebook, Supernatural Science, that dream is in there. I don't remember now if I put it in Marvel Dream Revelations, but everything that is really important that deals with this invention is in my ebooks and blogs, and that mostly on chrismichaels.com. But that is a design I made deliberately, which you're going to find me using that later on. And in different places. But that is a clue about where this energy tech invention came from, and that it came from God in dreams. And there's a lot of people that have had dreams about inventions, but they didn't give God credit for it. They didn't even know it came from Him. And that honestly, that bugs me because I know that because I've learned how this really works. And there's so many things I learned. And when my testimony comes out publicly, when this whole invention comes out, it's going to be a big shock to a lot of people. And of course, a lot of people are going to argue and fight against it. And, that's just normal. But it's going to prove to the world some people are going to get the clue and wake up. The testimony is probably, like I say, the testimony is probably going to be more powerful than just the technology itself, which of course is going to change the world, but it's the testimony behind how this technology came. And I know that's why God gave it to me, because He knew I would get out there and I would tell about it, and I wouldn't care about the people who think they're going to fight against this, because I've learned the correct way that the kingdom of God works. And of course, you can hear me talk about that. The kingdom of God is a force that comes from God that Jesus talked about, and it overthrows everything that is against it. And so all those people who are into politics, all this and that now, they're kind of missing. A lot of them are missing something that basically what I just said. The way to change everything is not so much. I mean, you do have to take natural actions with politics, yes, but Jesus did not teach. too much about that. He taught about how to bring the kingdom of God into your situation, not just personally, but also your city, your region, your nation, and the entire world. So this is a global assignment that I have. And of course, here's another slide I talk about. I'm going to be talking more about this with my live broadcasts and more, a lot more on my YouTube channel. Dream interpreting, supernatural mentoring, supernatural business and inventions. We're going to talk like I just did today, but we're going to talk more about that. Finding your calling and purpose. I just did a whole video on that recently, and that's an ebook, the Supernatural Science ebook. I have, like I said, go back and watch the trailer video I did. That will the trailer video for my 4 ebooks, the Supernatural Dream Series. That'll tell you a lot more about how I learned the process of finding your calling and purpose, which I have. I found it from God, not just me on my own, but right from God. And then, of course, the realm of marvels. That's a big one that I talk about quite a bit. And I'm doing a phase 2 series on that. That's going to be starting hopefully soon. I really hope it's going to be soon, but we'll see what happens. And so let me go back to our primary cover screen here again for today. And that's pretty much all I want to say about it for now. Like I say, you got to think about the structure, and not just the invention itself, but the structure. How you're going to incorporate this into the existing structure of airspace, and how in roads too. I mean, you think about it. You're going to have a car on the road, and it's going to get up off the ground and fly. Well, there's a way. There's a way you have to do that. And the more you think about it, the more this can start to become reality. And so I'm not putting these designs out there because I'm trying to keep them secret or anything like that. I'm like, no, start thinking about it now. And really, I'm talking about people like Elon and Tesla, the car company, because I know I'm going to be working with them. I had so many dreams about Elon, including just a couple weeks ago again. Um, and so, by the way, just like I had a ton of dreams about Trump, we'll see, is he coming back for real or not? A ton of dreams about meeting him, and I don't know what to do with those right now, but I know the ones about Elon are totally going to happen. As soon as this technology, this invention technology, this new space energy invention happens, when the money comes in, when I can start building this thing, you're going to see. I mean, if you don't believe it, all you got to do is wait. All you got to do is wait. You're going to see this thing is real, and you're going to have a hard time arguing against this when you see what it is. Because this only came to me one way. It didn't come to me because I studied a bunch of books. If I had, I would have wrong science. So studying books and having advanced degrees in physics and that would have led me down the wrong path. I would have never got this. And that's why I know God picks people that aren't stuck in that stuff because he can't use them. Some of them they're so concrete, their feet are concreted into that I have to call it a belief system. It's not just science, it's a belief system about science. And, he can't use people that are cemented into that. And so I know that's one reason why he picked me, what would look like a very unlikely source to some people from the outside. So anyway, it's new advanced energy technology, space energy, and it's going to change everything. And we're going to have right here flying cars. And like I say, I just did this little concept design, very simple, but combining things that I know from the past, being a pilot, and of course driving cars and flying airplanes that have all kinds of different screen displays and that kind of thing. So it's just simple, it's straightforward. You got to have a starting point. And so, yes, we're going to have this at some point soon. And if you're not familiar with this whole story, then seriously, you've got to get on and start following what I've been talking about. And yes, there are ways to support what I'm doing, whether it's just me with Dreams or me with Blue Cape Rocket. There are ways to support on both websites. And so I greatly appreciate anyone who does that. And like I say, the sooner we get this thing going, the sooner the world can get out of the Stone Ages with the technology that we've been stuck with for how long? Nikola Tesla, if his stuff would have actually come out instead of being hidden by certain government agencies, then, we would already have a lot of this stuff right now. But, well, we could have been literally light years ahead from where we are now if things were not repressed way back then. Well, it's coming out now. When God has his timeline, he doesn't let evil people and organizations continue to restrict and block everything. He says, okay, now is the time and it's going to happen. And it's part of his end times plan. And I found that out also. There's a lot involved in it. It's not just the technology, there's a lot of things wrapped together with the technology that he's given me, a lot. And like I say, there's a much bigger developing story behind this whole thing than just what I'm able to tell here. I could be here for hours telling about it, but I just wanted to talk about that now. So that's about it for now. So I just want to leave you with this slide right here. which is our starting point. So follow me, ask questions, get on my website, send me emails, dreams, or just general. There's two different contact forms: the general contact and the dreams contact. So make sure you know which one you're sending to. So anyway, okay. Thanks for following. Thanks for supporting. I appreciate that very much. And uh, that's all for today. We'll talk to you soon. Okay, God bless.